thousands of acres burning right now as we come on the air. Hot, windy conditions fueling multiple fires across California. And now, New Mexico is facing a fast-growing wildfire, forcing thousands to evacuate.
That airplane's got a lot of concerning problems.
A whistleblower sharing new concerns about potentially catastrophic problems at Boeing in a News Nation exclusive interview.
That airplane could roll off, go nose down, and you could have an accident.
He takes us inside the process, reveals extraordinarily relaxed rules, and plenty more you haven't heard before.
Who's driving the ship here? Is it the FAA or is it Boeing?
Caught on camera, a minivan plows into a police car during a roadside stop. We've seen this before, but why does it keep happening? Hobby horses aren't just for kids. Our Dan Abrams gives a lesson on competitive hobby horsing from a champion. And it's more than just prancing with a stick.
It's physically hard?
Yeah, it is physically hard. It's need years training, be the best in the world.
Is there sort of like the LeBron James of hobby horsing?
Yeah, of course.
Happy Tuesday. It's Morning in America. Good morning, y'all. Happy Tuesday from our news station headquarters in America's Heartland. It's time for News for All America. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nick Smith. Talk about a turbulent Tuesday. We have a lot to tell you about, and it all begins out west, where evacuation orders in multiple states, right? Dangerous air quality and no signs of it slowing down. Crews are working around the clock to put out fast-moving wildfires across the West. Over 1,500 acres have burned in Southern California. The nearly 1,700 firefighters battling the post-fire now have it about 20% contained. 24 helicopters are being used to fight the flames in the hardest-to-reach areas. Strong winds have fanned the fire closer to Interstate 5, and the smoke prompted an air quality alert Monday for parts of Los Angeles County. And get this, making matters worse, high winds and dry conditions are in the forecast again today. And California is not alone. The South Fork fire is threatening communities across central New Mexico. About 8,000 people have already been forced to evacuate as that fire quickly grew to more than 5,000 acres. Officials warn the flames are threatening several structures, and this fire is 0% contained. And today, many parts of the United States are facing extreme summer temperatures, the first major heat wave of the season continuing to expand across much of the central and eastern United States, with alerts across parts of 21 of those states. Record high temps in the Northeast for the rest of the week, with the heat sticking around through the weekend. Make sure to take precautions to cool off, like staying in the AC and drinking plenty of water. And right now, half a world away, Russian President Vladimir Putin is making his first trip to North Korea today in nearly a quarter century. Now, Mr. Putin's summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un comes with Moscow increasingly isolated from the West over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Mr. Putin has sought closer ties with Iran, China, and North Korea in recent years. And just this morning, he vowed Russia and North Korea will tackle Western sanctions together. Putin's visit comes as tensions on the Korean peninsula have hit their highest point in years. News Nation's Emily Finn has the details. And Emily, what now are we expecting to happen? Because I know that the West is watching all of this closely.
Oh, absolutely. There is all eyes on North Korea today on the world stage. The Russian president thanking North Korea for backing Russia's war effort in Ukraine in an op-ed in North Korean state media today. The piece, published just hours before Putin was set to arrive in Pyongyang, also reaffirmed Russia's ties to North Korea, pledging to develop stronger economic ties and to fight what the Russian leader called unilateral and illegal sanctions against the two countries.
Okay, it's clear what North Korea gets from all of this, but what does Mr. Putin get from all this?
That's a great question, Nick. So for Russia, the name of the game seems to be weapons. The U.S. and South Korea say that Kim Jong-un has sent Russia thousands of shipping containers worth of munitions since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in February of 2022. South Korea's national security advisor told local media over the weekend that Putin making the trip to Pyongyang is a sign of how badly Russia needs North Korea just to be able to fight this war in Ukraine. But
Emily, with this summit happening, all of this increases tensions in the DMZ, right?
It certainly does. Tensions are certainly high, Nick. South Korean troops firing warning shots into the demilitarized zone overnight after North Korean soldiers temporarily crossed the border line for the second time in as many weeks. South Korea's military says it spotted North Korean construction going on along the northern border, including planting new landmines. So all eyes are going to be on North Korea, as we've been pointing out throughout the morning, Nick.
And this is something we continue to follow because we're also seeing action in the Caribbean, which we'll also talk about. Emily, thank you so much.
Yes.
As Russian president arrives in North Korea, its warships have left Cuba following a 5-day visit in Havana for military drills in the Caribbean. Cuba and the United States have a strained relationship. Now, the exercises were considered by many to be a show of strength by Moscow. It's unclear where the Russian fleet will actually head next, but U.S. officials say it could be bound for Venezuela. And new this morning, the Biden administration is set to announce a policy that would protect about 500,000 illegal immigrants from deportation. Senior White House officials say the executive action called Parole in Place would give some spouses of American citizens a path to their own citizenship without having to leave the country. They must be living in the U.S. for at least 10 years to be eligible. Now, the White House says this plan will help keep families together. Joining us now, Mick Mulvaney. He was acting White House Chief of Staff for President Trump and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Chris Hahn. Both are News Nation political contributors. Mick, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. The idea of keeping families together, everybody likes that idea, right? Is the president trying to play both sides of this issue, though, after announcing that new executive action expanding asylum restrictions just a few weeks ago?
Yeah, look, I'll be the first to admit that it's so frustrating. I used to be a member of Congress. It was so frustrating to have folks, citizens married to non-citizens, to try and get their spouse's status here. That's really, really difficult, and I understand and I sympathize with that. But this is beyond that, Nick. This is going into a situation now where the law says that if you come into this country illegally, you're not supposed to be able to get citizenship, a pathway to citizenship, visas, green cards, anything. And what the president is doing here is going against the law. He has the ability to do the parole in place. He has the ability as the chief executive of the country to say, you know what, we're not going to prioritize deporting this particular group. That is a completely rational and legal use of the presidential authority. But as Barack Obama did a decade ago, he's going beyond that to give these folks, or try to give these folks, special rights, a pathway to citizenship, work permits, etc. And that's going to be a big problem for Republicans. And what they're going to say is, look, why are you spending your time on handling the folks who are already here illegally when you're not doing nearly enough to prevent even more people to come here illegally?
And even though we expect some Republicans to push back, it's not only Republicans pushing back, Chris. There are signs that Hispanic voters are also growing more frustrated with the crisis at our southern border. It seems as though Mr. Biden has a problem on both sides. The CBS News poll found that 53% of Hispanic voters support deporting all migrants in the country illegally. What do you make of that figure as the White House pursues today's action?
Well, first, on today's action, I think most Americans think that that's already the case, that if you marry an American citizen, you could stay here. Isn't that the plot of the movie Proposal or Green Card? But on the other issue you just asked me about, that poll, look, that's a number. If you ask people, if people are here illegally, should you deport them? The answer will almost always be in the 60% yes, maybe even higher. But then when you actually start deporting them, as Stephen Miller has described, setting up camps, the American people will not stand for that. That number will be in the 20% approving of that process. It's a very difficult problem, which is why no Congress and no president over the last 50 years has been able to solve it. Congress needs to take significant action, like the bill that they started to work on this year and then Donald Trump killed, like the bill that was worked on in 2013 when Mick was in Congress, the 2013 Border Security and Immigration Modernization Act, which would have solved a lot of these problems. So I think, look, this is a big problem, but at the end of the day, I don't think swing voters make up their mind on this particular issue. It's not right in their face.
Mick, we can expect Republicans to push back. What do you expect from them as far as a response and what it all means for them politically?
They're going to continue to draw attention to what's happening at the southern border, continue to draw attention to the millions, literally millions of people that are coming in every single year. The problem's not getting any better. It's getting worse. They're going to draw attention to the fact that Joe Biden undid a lot of the things that Donald Trump did when he was in office, and that has made things a lot worse. I think Chris is probably right. I don't think this moves the needle much politically. Keep in mind that the undecided voters are undecided for a reason. They don't pay very close attention until the very end. And the status of illegal immigrants who are married to American citizens probably isn't on the top 100 list of the issues that's most important to them. So we'll focus on this from a legal perspective, whether or not a president has the legal ability to do this. There will be lawsuits over it, of course. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to move the needle politically.
And if we think, Chris, that President Biden already had the legal authority to do this, why didn't he offer this plan sooner rather than later instead of waiting for the anniversary of DACA?
Oh, I think the president was hoping that he could get a deal with Congress that would have had a comprehensive plan to deal with multiple issues on immigration. But unfortunately, that plan fell apart because Donald Trump said he wanted the issue for November because it riles his base up. At the end of the day, until we get past this hyper-partisan environment that we're in, we will have no significant immigration reform, and presidents are going to have to take whatever authority they can to try to solve whatever small problems they can. At the end of the day, we need a big, broad, bipartisan immigration reform bill, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Mick, is it still work to blame Congress? Are American people satisfied with that answer, that just blame Congress for not getting a deal done?
You know, it's always easy to blame Congress because they're usually at fault. And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek. If you're a Republican member of Congress, what you would say back to Chris is, look, the only body, the House, the Senate, that has actually passed a piece of comprehensive legislation on immigration has been the House. Now, it's a bill that the Democrats don't like. It wasn't a bipartisan bill in the House. That's not unusual under our system. So, look, is people going to blame Congress? Sure, they do. I think Congress's approval rating is roughly the same as head lice. I'm not making that up, by the way. But I think at the end of the day, folks are just going to want to know who at the top of the ticket is going to do a better job of taking care of this. And right now, that's why I think you're seeing things move so dramatically for Donald Trump, especially in the swing states.
Mick, I'm used to Chris making the joke. You got me completely off guard with that one there. Chris Hahn and Mick Mulvaney, thank you both.
I'm surprised, wait a minute. I'm surprised that Mick Mulvaney would have sent Sandra Bullock back to Canada in the movie Proposal. That would have been his position here. I think that we should all talk about how Mick Mulvaney doesn't love Sandra Bullock like the rest of America. That's all I'm saying.
We will do that in the next hour. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, this morning, police in California are searching for the person who robbed a Secret Service agent at gunpoint on Saturday in suburban Los Angeles. This all happening as President Biden was visiting for a star-studded fundraising event featuring President Obama, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and other celebrities. But it's not clear if this agent was assigned to the president's detail. News Nation's Kelsey Kirstein is here with the very latest information on this still developing story. Scary moments for everyone involved.
Really scary moments, and we're also learning that there were multiple attackers. So we're also learning that they say that this armed robbery happened in a residential neighborhood. The latest update from authorities is that the robbers remain on the run this morning. So take a look at this. They were last seen fleeing the scene in this vehicle. It appears to be a 2004-2006 Infiniti. The robbery also happened at around 9 in the evening on Saturday in Tustin, California. This, we know, is just about 15 miles from Disneyland. Now, police also say that they've recovered some of the agent's belongings, but it's not exactly clear how. We're also learning that the agent was off duty and returning from an assignment when this happened.
No, we know that this agent was definitely armed, Kelsey. Was he trying to defend himself, or what happened there?
He definitely did defend himself. So this is interesting. We're learning from police that the agent fired at the robbers as they ran from the scene. In fact, we got a statement from the Secret Service reading, it's unknown if the assailants were struck. We are thankful that the employee did not sustain any injuries. The agent involved has not been identified.
And this remains an active investigation?
Ongoing investigation. Hopefully we get more answers.
Absolutely. Kelsey, thank you so much. Here's a quick look at some of the other stories making headlines this morning, including a big Boeing hearing on Capitol Hill. The company's outgoing CEO, Dave Calhoun, is scheduled to answer questions before a Senate panel about the plane maker's safety record. This comes as Boeing has seen a number of high-profile incidents, including a door plug blowing out in midair. Today's hearing could impact whether or not the Justice Department files charges against Boeing for violating the terms of a settlement after 2 deadly crashes of its 737 MAX planes in 2018 and 2019. Families of those crash victims are expected at the hearing. And the son of convicted killer Alec Murdaugh is filing a massive defamation lawsuit against several media organizations like Netflix and Warner Brothers. Buster Murdaugh says they linked him to the death of a former classmate, Stephen Smith, in their docuseries and other content spotlighting the Murdaugh case. Smith was found dead in 2015 on the road near the Murdaugh's South Carolina estate. Buster Murdaugh testified in the trial where his father was found guilty of murdering his wife and younger son.
Missed free throw. Horford the rebound. Here's Pritchard. He loves these. Puts it up half court to the buzzer. Bang! Pritchard at the buzzer with a three-pointer. He's done it again.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys that Boston is still on fire this morning. Time to celebrate again. The Celtics never trailed in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, taking down the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 and winning the NBA title. It's the Celtics' first championship since 2008, and this one breaks a record. It's the 18th time the Celtics have hoisted the Larry O'Brien Trophy, breaking a tie with the Lakers for most all time. At 35 years old, Joe Mazzulla is the youngest championship-winning coach since the late Bill Russell did it back in 1969. And after a 21-point performance in the series clincher, Jaylen Brown was named Finals MVP. Well, Navy recruiting shortfalls not just causing concerns here at home. What the recruiting crisis means for our service members already overseas, particularly in critical hotspots like the Red Sea. We're on board our country's busiest aircraft carrier for the answer. A shocking smash and grab caught on camera. Police on the trail of this gang of thieves busting up a jewelry store, forcing employees to run and hide. We've got all the details on this brazen burglary.
Elizabeth Smart, guest host Banfield, tonight, 10/9 Central, only on News Nation.
An alternative to pills, Voltaren is a clinically proven arthritis pain relief gel which penetrates deep to target the source of pain with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medicine directly at the source. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
You know what's crazy?
That this is better than cooking at home? I mean, more affordable than groceries.
Of course.
Good.
Groceries are expensive.
Thought I was in trouble there for a sec.
Oh, you are.
You will never smell better everywhere like you will with Lumi. It's so easy to use. Just a pea-sized amount like this rubs in like a lotion, controls odor for 3 days on pits, feet, privates, anywhere you have odor but wish you didn't. Now, before you say, isn't that what soap and water is for? I'm here to tell you that your shower doesn't work as well as you think it does. And Lumi is clinically proven to work better than a shower with soap. Give Lumi a try and see what happens, because your body has never been so odor-free as it will be with Lumi. It's one less thing to worry about.
Welcome to the Waverhood.
The Wayfair vibe at our place is Western.
My thing, darling, shine.
Gardening.
Some of us go for the dramatic.
How didn't I know Wayfair had vanities in tile? Oh!
This? Yeah.
Do you have any ottomans without legs?
Sean, you'll flip for the poop cart.
In the Waverhood, there's a place for all of us.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
At the Jeep Make This the Summer event, you can take a vacation from payments on the most capable Wrangler ever. Our most affordable SUV, Jeep Compass. The only open-air pickup, Jeep Gladiator. And the most awarded SUV ever, Jeep Grand Cherokee. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer and make the most out of summer with great deals plus no payments for 90 days.
During the Jeep Make This the Summer event, get $2,000 bonus cash allowance, plus no monthly payments for 90 days on the 2024 Jeep Gladiator and most 2024 Jeep Wrangler gas-powered models.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief and reduced fatigue with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares kept trying to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
For both UC and Crohn's, rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal. Cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
We're the fastest growing cable news network because of you, the 80% of America in the middle. You care about fair political coverage. You care about the train wreck in East Palestine. We still haven't stopped covering. You care about the border. We've been there too. All of these news stories we will keep covering. Tell your friends and family about why you watch and why you trust us. We are grateful that you have been along with us.
See why News Nation is news for all America.
Take a look at your screen. This is new video showing a minivan slamming into the back of a police car on the side of the highway. This as troopers were standing just feet away. Now, the Knoxville Police Department says everyone is surprisingly okay. A police spokesperson says the minivan driver might have been experiencing a medical emergency when they hit the cruiser, but it's unclear right now. Still, they say this crash should be a reminder to slow down and move over when you see a stopped police car. And two Democratic holdouts in the House and Senate are now signing off on arms deals for Israel. Congressman Gregory Meeks, who sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and Senator Ben Cardin from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee had been under pressure from the White House and pro-Israel activists. That's according to several reports. If the deal goes through, it will include 50 F-15 fighter jets worth more than $18 million. Meeks has been publicly opposed to Israel's tactics in Gaza. And the U.S. military has been experiencing a shortage of recruits. That includes the Navy, which estimates it will be 6,200 enlistees short of their goal for the 2024 fiscal year. And with the ongoing Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, sailors on board the USS Eisenhower are working nonstop and much needed in the Middle East. Now, News Nation's Robert Sherman picks up the story from here.
Some branches of the United States Armed Forces have struggled with recruitment in recent years. The United States Navy has seen that firsthand as they currently work around the clock to protect freedom of navigation and commerce here in the Middle East.
The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is the most powerful ship operating in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Nevertheless, Captain Chris Hill says the attacks from the Houthis in Yemen just keep coming.
Drones, one-way attack drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, anti-ship ballistic missiles.
Iranian proxies aren't the only thing that isn't easy about being at sea. Living conditions can be tight.
And this is sailors have been berthing, usually between 30 to 40, sometimes 50 people.
And repetitive meals can make sailors miss home.
We're coming up on our 8th month.
8th month. Wow. In recent years, it's been more difficult to recruit to the U.S. Armed Forces. While the Marines and Space Force met their targets in 2023, the Army, Air Force, and Navy all came up short. The Air Force and Army feel optimistic they'll be where they need to be by the end of 2024, but the Navy is expected to miss again. Commander Eric Blomberg of the USS Laboon, a part of the Eisenhower strike group, is bullish, largely because the Houthi threat is real, and believes this will cause more people to sign up.
Some people want to go where they know they're going to be actually doing the things that they train to. I can tell you right now, we're doing the things that we train to.
Rear Admiral Mark Miguez says morale on the ships is high, telling us the men and women serving in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden are bought into the purpose of what he describes as a once-in-a-lifetime deployment.
They know how important it is out here, not only to defend the maritime traffic, but to defend the shipmates.
Perhaps best encapsulated by the USS Laboon's boarding team, who decided to pick up an extra job to serve as the tip of the spear in the fight against smuggling in the region.
You're going to be anywhere that is free flow of commerce is going to be restricted.
The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower's deployment has been extended once again, and at this point, there are no signs that the attacks from the Houthis in Yemen will be stopping anytime soon. Nick?
Robert, thank you so much for that. Well, new this morning, a whistleblower is sharing new insight on the problems Boeing is facing.
This is a global issue that we've got here with Boeing because they've cut corners for many years.
News Nation's chief investigative reporter shares deadly examples of those corners being cut and why Boeing is calling the shots on how and when to fix them. And tens of thousands of pets are losing their health insurance. How to know if your furry friend will no longer be covered and why the company is dropping them.
There's a 71% chance you could be overpaying for car insurance. That's why Experian has a new free tool that could save you money by finding you our best deal. And it works. Experian users saved an average of $900 per year.
Go to Experian.com/car and stop overpaying for car insurance.
Feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't at its best. But a little Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil psyllium fiber gels to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. So you can lighten every day the Metamucil way.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein. 30 grams protein, 1 gram sugar, 25 vitamins and minerals, and a new fiber blend with a prebiotic.
You know what's crazy?
That this is better than cooking at home? I mean, more affordable than groceries.
Of course.
Good.
Groceries are expensive.
Thought I was in trouble there for a sec.
Oh, you are.
My mental health was better, but uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia, started disrupting my day.
TD felt embarrassing. I felt like disconnecting. I asked my doctor about treating my TD and learned about Ingrezza.
Ingrezza is clinically proven for reducing TD. Most people saw results in just 2 weeks. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. Only #1 prescribed Ingrezza has simple dosing for TD. Always 1 pill once daily. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Nuts.com. When my grandfather started this business in 1929, he relied on 4 important values: freshness, quality, variety, and service. I'm proud to carry on his legacy, but from a bigger space. We still freshly roast, season, and dip delicious nuts here in New Jersey and deliver them with the freshest dried fruits, snacks, and sweets to families that love our products all around the country, including mine.
We think you'll love Nuts.com too, so check us out and enjoy 20% off plus free shipping on your first order.
HomeAglow just cleaned my entire house for $19. Seriously, $19. They showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using HomeAglow, and I think you will too.
I can feel the winds of change.
All right, I want you to take a look at your screen right now. You see employees running for cover to hide. This shocking footage is out of the California Bay Area where a gang of thieves are looting a jewelry store in broad daylight. Employees running into side rooms to take cover as a crew of about 20 smashed their way inside the store. Police took 5 of those suspects into custody and recovered some of what was stolen following a car chase. No other arrests have been made. And head of Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun's Senate testimony today. A whistleblower is sounding the alarm on the company and the FAA, speaking exclusively to News Nation. The whistleblower, who has more than 40 years' experience at Boeing and the FAA, claims the aircraft maker has been getting longer than normal deadlines to work on dangerous defects, some of which still haven't been fixed. News Nation chief investigative reporter Rich McHugh sat down with that whistleblower. Rich, what was that conversation like? And it had to be uncomfortable at times because you and I both fly.
Absolutely. It was one of the most sober conversations about this whole mess, and it was indeed frightening, Nick, because this guy spent 4 decades between Boeing and the FAA as an aerospace engineer. He says the relationship between Boeing and the FAA has become too cozy and it's putting passengers at great risk. In April 2018, Southwest Flight 1380, a fan blade breaks off inside the engine, rips apart the engine, and sends shrapnel inside the plane, killing 43-year-old mother of 2 Jennifer Reardon. 19 months earlier, the same thing happened on the same 737 model engine and same model plane, ripping a hole above the left wing in flight over Mississippi. Mike Dostert spent 7 years as an aerospace engineer for Boeing, 32 years at the FAA, and today he is blowing the whistle on both. He says this could have been prevented and still has not been fixed.
It happened in 2018 and it's 2024. The airplanes are still flying with those same engine inlets. They haven't been fixed.
Dustert says that the issue is that the FAA, in coordination with Boeing, has been granting long compliance times for airlines to fix dangerous, potentially catastrophic defects on their Boeing airplanes instead of requiring fixes be done immediately or within months. In many cases, they're giving the airlines much, much longer. Take a look.
Help me understand something. A plane is flagged right now. What are the compliance times that you're seeing, and what should those compliance times be, actually?
Well, so we're seeing years to correct unsafe conditions, and years for many of them. In fact, many years, and so it's quite concerning.
Now, we have reached out to both Boeing and the FAA for comments. We have not heard back from either yet. You can see the full report tonight on Elizabeth Vargas Live. Nick, back to you.
Rich, what were you thinking when he told you years? You're like, wait a minute, years? You know there's a problem and it's taking years to correct it?
It makes no sense. I asked him why. Why is this happening? He said, there's no good reason except that they're too cozy a relationship, but this shouldn't be happening for American passengers.
Rich McHugh live for us this morning. Rich, thank you so much. The NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in court over your favorite games. What the boss of the world's most profitable sports league has to say about the NFL's ultra-lucrative TV deals. President Biden dealing with a setback on his administration's Title IX changes. What a federal judge is ruling, and did the president have the authority to make those changes in the first place?
Kate made progress with her mental health, but her medication caused unintentional movements in her face, hands, and feet called tardive dyskinesia, or TD. So her doctor prescribed Austedo XR, a once-daily TD treatment for adults. Austedo XR significantly reduced Kate's TD movements. Some people saw a response as early as 2 weeks. With Austedo XR, Kate can stay on her mental health meds.
Oh, hi, buddy.
Austedo XR can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, or have suicidal thoughts. Don't take if you have liver problems, are taking reserpine, tetrabenazine, or valbenazine. Austedo XR may cause irregular or fast heartbeat or abnormal movements. Seek help for fever, stiff muscles, problems thinking, or sweating. Common side effects include inflammation of the nose and throat, insomnia, and sleepiness.
Ask your doctor for Austedo XR.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals, nutrients for immune health, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can use your information in ways that are easy to miss by just monitoring accounts and credit, like opening loans, transferring home titles, even committing crimes.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and it was used for criminal activity.
You can do so much with a social security number that I didn't know could happen. They drained my bank account. It was terrifying.
You're even more vulnerable than you realize. Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place, like someone trying to use your social security number, open a new loan in your name, or even commit a crime in your name.
There was a big yes button and there was a big no button. I clicked, that's not me, and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim of identity theft, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will be assigned to your case and work to fix the issue on your behalf.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds, personal expenses, and coverage for lawyers and experts up to $1 million. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. With LifeLock, it's easy to help protect yourself.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Join the millions of people already protected by LifeLock. And for a limited time, save 25% on your first year with promo code 25TV. All plans include a 60-day money-back guarantee. Call 800-710-7530 or visit lifelock.com/25TV to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
If you have Graves' disease and itchy eyes, the truth may be even more uncomfortable. People with Graves could also get thyroid eye disease, or TED, which may need a different doctor. Find a TED eye specialist at isitted.com.
Welcome back. It's 33 minutes after the hour. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell defending the league's Sunday ticket package in court. Goodell was on the stand for nearly 4 hours, insisting the Sunday ticket, which lets fans watch out-of-market games for about $350 per season, is a premium product for fans. Subscribers who paid for it from 2011 through 2022 claim the league broke antitrust laws by selling the out-of-market package at an inflated price and restricted competition by only offering it through DirecTV. Well, over a decade after being convicted for child sex assault, Jerry Sandusky says he was wrongfully convicted. The former Penn State football coach, breaking his silence from behind bars, says at least one of his accusers changed their stories, adding that he believes they were motivated by money. This comes as his lawyers continue to push for a new trial. The 80-year-old Sandusky was convicted of sexually abusing boys he met through his charity. A federal judge pressing pause on the Biden administration's efforts to expand Title IX protections for LGBTQIA students. The judge halting the regulations in 6 more states, including Kentucky and Ohio, days after another federal judge blocked the rules in 4 other states. The Title IX changes would expand protections for LGBTQ+ students on the college campuses, but Republicans and conservative groups are trying claims that it's part of a bigger plan to allow transgender women to play on women's sports teams. Let's bring in May Melman, a senior legal fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, and Ash Orr, press relations manager for the National Center for Transgender Equality. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Ash, I'm going to start with you. The judge in this case wrote that the Biden administration's push to redefine sex to include gender identity is beyond its authority. How do you respond to that? Is that a legitimate argument to justify striking down these changes?
Absolutely. So Title IX has helped generations of students access the educational opportunities that they deserve. And as a reminder, these were long denied to women and the broader LGBTQI+ community. So Title IX's promise, when it was enacted over 50 years ago, was to broadly guarantee that all students equal educational opportunities free from sex discrimination. But in the years since its passage, opponents have stopped at nothing to weaken these crucial civil rights protections, including undoing the critical protections against sexual harassment, as well as against the rights of LGBTQI+ students, particularly transgender, non-binary, and intersex students. So the Biden administration's Title IX rule, it helps to hold the line against these attacks. And what's important to know here is that these updates and revisions to the Title IX regulations clarify that student survivors of sexual harassment, pregnant and parenting students, and LGBTQI+ students, especially our trans, non-binary, and intersex students, have strong and comprehensive protections against discrimination in schools. So what this is going to mean is that trans students may not be barred now from any covered educational programs on account of their gender. This means that trans students may not be denied access to restrooms, locker rooms, or programs on account of their gender. And this is a bold and important statement that trans and non-binary students belong in their schools and in their communities.
And May, when you look at this on the surface, it seems as though those who oppose it somehow don't want to offer protection for members of their community who may be part of the LGBTQIA+ community. But from a lawyer's perspective, do you believe the Biden administration may have gone too far and actually had the authority to make these changes? Explain to us the reasoning behind fighting against expanded protections against discrimination.
So I disagree with the intro that this is about ripping away protections from anybody. No one deserves to be discriminated against. However, Title IX is a sex-based protection statute. Women were not allowed to take certain courses. They had curfews. Women were not attending college because of that. And so Title IX provided protections for women. Women, sex-based protections are different than gender identity-based protections. There is a law pending before Congress, the Equality Act, that would do the things that Biden says that his Title IX revision could do. It hasn't passed. So no, this is not a legal revision. But it's also not a good idea. Like I said, discrimination against anybody is not okay. But what has been done here is not to remove, discrimination. It has been to give rights to people who are biological males to enter biological female spaces. As Justice Ginsburg says, the differences between the two sexes are enduring. The sexes are not fungible. And women deserve, under Title IX, deserve private spaces, and they deserve to have sports opportunities where they don't have to change in front of fully intact males, which we know does happen. So I think that there's a way to accommodate everybody, but this revision isn't about accommodation. It's about a right to enter a woman's space. And Americans, by huge, overwhelming numbers, are not in favor of that.
Ash, how do you respond to critics who believe this is about transgender athletes in college sports?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important to know here that these types of actions, they do not promote fairness or equity. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing here, this is not about fairness and competition or protecting women and girls. These types of actions are meant to send a message to trans, non-binary, and intersex athletes that they simply don't belong. And this continues on a long history of exclusion of women and girls from competitive sports. So these types of actions that are aimed at banning trans people from participating in even non-competitive settings, such as club sports at schools, demonstrates further that these laws and these actions, again, are not about competition, but it's about finding yet another avenue to discriminate and to enact violence against trans people through exclusion. So if we are really wanting to talk about protecting women in sports and women in spaces, we need to talk about improving sports funding. We need to talk about preventing sexual assault and abuse, as well as creating more opportunities, especially for women and girls of colors. So, we all want to ensure a level playing field when it comes to trans folks and everybody participating in sports. And again, all women and girls, whether they're cisgender or transgender, should feel safe and encouraged to participate without fear of discrimination.
And Ash, we can definitely agree everyone should feel safe, but Title IX was created to protect women, and that additional rules need to be put in place to protect those outside of that scope. Mae Melman and Ash Orr, thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
Well, these folks aren't horsing around. We'll take you inside hobby horsing. That's the new sport that's taking the internet by storm. And right now we're taking a live look at the Osprey Cam in Bar Harbor, Maine, courtesy of EarthCam. If you look closely, you can see two baby birds perched up in their nest. We've been keeping a close eye on these Seahawks, and those babies just recently had. Take a look. Aw, Mom is feeding them breakfast.
Introducing Zeba, the world's first hands-free sneaker built for comfort. You heard that correct. Zebas are hands-free, meaning you can put them on without bending over. We've simply designed a better shoe you can put on effortlessly. You've never seen a sneaker like this. Just take a look from the side. The way your foot slips right in effortlessly, and the way the back bends down and pops back up, you can take your shoe off just as easily. And these are designed to look and feel like any other pair of sneakers. Get your Zebas now at zebashoes.com.
Nothing dims my light like a migraine. With Nurtec ODT, I found relief.
The only migraine medication that helps treat and prevent all in one.
To those with migraine, I see you.
For the acute treatment of migraine with or without aura and the preventive treatment of episodic migraine in adults. Don't take if allergic to Nurtec ODT. Allergic reactions can occur even days after using. Most common side effects were nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain.
It's time we all shine. Talk to a healthcare provider about Nurtec ODT from Pfizer.
CIDP disrupts.
CIDP derails.
Let's be honest. CIDP sucks.
But living with CIDP
doesn't have to.
When you sign up at shiningthroughcidp.com, you'll find inspiration and real patient stories.
Helpful tips, reliable information, and more.
CIDP can be tough.
But finding hope
just got a little easier.
Sign up at shiningthroughcidp.com.
Be heard, be hopeful, be you.
I got the cabin for 3 days. It's gonna be sweet. What? I'm 12 hours short.
Have a fun weekend.
Was that necessary?
No, neither is a blown weekend. With Paycom, employees do their own payroll, so you can fix problems before they become problems. Get Paycom and make the unnecessary unnecessary. See you down the line.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief and reduced fatigue with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares kept trying to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
For both UC and Crohn's, rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal. Cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Let your feet take you wherever your spirit wants to go. The one and only Hurricane helps you navigate any surface so you can go anywhere your heart desires. Redesigned from top to bottom, it truly stands alone. Now you can walk easier down whatever path you choose. Move forward with confidence at Hurricane.com. Also available at these fine retailers.
The scary finance dream again. Do you maybe want to take Facet's financial wellness quiz?
Okay. Finances can be scary, but they don't have to be. Go to Facet.com to get your free score today.
Attention timeshare owners. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently. Call the number on your screen today.
I want you to take a look at this. You're like, what is she doing? Yeah, throwing that out the window. That ain't no Happy Meal, but it's a McDonald's drive-thru. It's a supersized throwdown. This happened in Florida. An employee and a customer got into an argument over an order. That's when the employee, 22-year-old Chastity Gardner, appears to throw drinks at the customer. Moments later, the customer returns to the window, reaches in, and throws cups back at her. And when Gardner comes back, it's with a gun. Video shows her going outside and shooting at the customer as they drive off. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but she now faces charges. And more insurance woes. Kelsey is here with a look at the headlines we're following this morning, Kelsey. Insurance problems even for our pets?
Yeah, this is going to cost pet owners a lot of money. So what we can tell you is that, in fact, this company is called Nationwide, the largest provider of pet insurance. It's saying that it is dropping around 100,000 policies, and they're saying it just really costs too much. So the company is blaming inflation, the overall cost of a vet visit, and treatments. Nationwide says that they will tell their customers in writing that their coverage is being dropped. They also say they will not cancel policies based on a pet's age, breed, or prior health issues. Overall, pet insurance has exploded in popularity. In fact, one survey found that 24% of pet owners, they have a coverage plan. Avocado and mango prices, they could soon be going up. So this is because the USDA is no longer inspecting these imports from the state of Mexico. The agency said it is pausing inspections because of safety concerns. Reuters reports that 2 U.S. inspectors, they were held against their will during a recent protest in the state. It is not the first time this has happened either. So in fact, 2 years ago, avocado imports were temporarily banned because an American official had been threatened. And check this out, new video showing a 19-year-old stealing an ambulance from an Ohio hospital. Yeah, wild video. So this happened just outside of Cleveland. You can see one paramedic jumping on the driver's side window. He was trying to stop Jamarian Hill from driving away. It worked because Hill eventually crashed into a helicopter landing pad. We know the paramedic suffered minor injuries, but this is probably my favorite part. We are learning from police that Hill was just waiting outside the hospital. He didn't want to wait that long for his ride, so he decided to steal an ambulance.
Wow, and now he's facing charges.
Exactly.
Really ridiculous, but I'm glad that everybody's okay. Kelsey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
An unconventional horse racing craze taking the internet by storm. A group of young women aren't horsing around about hobby horsing, even as videos of their lesser-known sport are ridiculed online. In fact, hobby horse competitors have gone on the offensive against critics they say aren't giving riders the respect they deserve. Champion hobby horse athlete and coach Ada Flippa gave News Nation's Dan Abrams a demonstration of how it works.
What exactly are people missing about hobby horsing when they think, oh, this is just people running around with a stick and a horse head?
I think people thinking I'm playing like a horse, that this is a real horse and I can't ride with real horses. But actually it is like tennis racket. Do you know Sport Ekman? You need that doing that sport, but that's it.
And it's tough? It's physically hard?
Yeah, it is physically hard. It needs years training, be the best in the world, and jumping over 110 cents obstacles like 14 times and be quick. And a lot of rules that make it harder than just running and jump. You need doing so much more.
Are there more like better horses and less good horses and more expensive ones and cheaper ones?
We have all of them.
Yeah?
Expensive ones and cheap ones, what you like.
Yeah?
Mostly people doing them by themselves.
Is that right? They make them themselves?
Yeah.
And is there sort of like the LeBron James of hobby horsing? I mean, like sort of the person who everyone knows is the one to beat?
Yeah, of course.
And that person, what, just wins all the competitions?
Not maybe all, but very many.
Are you guys pushing for this to be an Olympic sport?
I don't know, maybe, but now I'm happy what we have. We have very, very hardcore competitions and high level and so many thousand good athletics, young people.
Does it bother you that people make fun of it?
Sometimes, but do you know, people make fun of things what they don't understand and they are not ready to figure out. So do you know, I don't really mind. It's okay if you don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, look, it looks funny, but it also does look hard. I mean, if you do that for a while, it's going to be a good leg workout, right? I mean, I've got to believe. I'm not a hobby horser myself, but as I watch that, I'm thinking, you know, over a long period of time, not easy.
No, I think that's me. I think I'm good shape. Yeah.
All right, if you can just give us a quick little demonstration here of how it works.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the
Yeah, you have to hold the reins
yep.
Because when you jump over the obstacle, normally hurdler is balancing with hand.
Okay.
But here we can't do it, so it's more harder to jump over because you can't balance. So that's why we hold reins. And if the reins fell down and you're doing like that, you get penalties.
Oh.
And goodbye the cold.
All right.
And then what you mostly see, we can't run. So we have to counter. So counter just going, da-dum. I have to hold my mic like that.
Yeah.
And go in turn.
Yeah.
And back, like basically.
All right.
That was very easy.
No, but you know what? It's very interesting to me, and I got to pet your horse, which I wanted to feel how heavy it was.
Yeah.
It was interesting. This is fascinating to me.
There is so much I want to say, but my mother always said you ain't got to say everything to come to your mind, Nicholas. You can watch Dan Abrams live tonight, every weeknight, starting at 9, 8 Central, right here on News Nation. Well, summertime is upon us, and that means trips to the beach. But sharks in shallow water are rising concerns for swimmers. Now, Nancy, there's new technology helping keep people safe while they swim, right, Nancy?
Yes, there is new technology out there, Nick, and we got to head out with researchers as they tagged sharks right off the coast here in Southern California. There are more, and they are bigger. We'll have the story coming up here on Morning in America.
Diabetes can serve up a lot of questions, like what is your glucose and can you have more carbs? Before you decide. With the Freestyle Libre 3 system, know your glucose and where it's heading. No finger sticks needed. Now the world's smallest and thinnest sensor sends your glucose levels directly to your smartphone. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C, the #1 CGM prescribed in the U.S. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us. You know what's crazy?
That this is better than cooking at home? I mean, more affordable than groceries.
Of course.
Good.
Groceries are expensive.
Thought I was in trouble there for a sec.
Oh, you are.
Depression is a journey. I'd made some progress on my antidepressant, had some daily wins in reducing my symptoms, but I was still masking my depression. So I talked to my doctor. She told me I could build on my wins without changing my antidepressant.
Rexulti, when added to an antidepressant, significantly reduced depression symptoms more than an antidepressant alone.
And less depression, that's a win.
Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have an increased risk of death or stroke. Antidepressants may increase suicidal thoughts and actions and worsen depression in children and young adults. Report new or sudden changes in mood, behavior, thoughts, or feelings, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions. Report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death. Weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells. Unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur. Keep moving forward. Ask your doctor about Rexulti.
Did I read this? Did I get eggs? Where are my keys?
Memory and thinking issues keep piling up? It may be due to a buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. Visit morethannormalaging.com.
The virus that causes shingles is sleeping in 99% of people over 50. It's lying dormant, waiting, and could reactivate. Shingles strikes as a painful, blistering rash that can last for weeks, and it could wake at any time. Think you're not at risk for shingles? It's time to wake up, because shingles could wake up in you. If you're over 50, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about shingles prevention.
My mental health was better, but uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia, started disrupting my day.
TD felt embarrassing. I felt like disconnecting. I asked my doctor about treating my TD and learned about Ingrezza.
Ingrezza is clinically proven for reducing TD. Most people saw results in just 2 weeks. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. Only #1 prescribed Ingrezza has simple dosing for TD. Always 1 pill once daily. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
Singer and songwriter Paul McCartney, who gained worldwide fame with the Beatles, turns 82 years old today. Happy birthday, Mr. McCartney. In honor of 82 years of his best songs, they were ranked. Get this. Coming in at number 5 is his hit, 1965, Yesterday. 4 is Eleanor Rigby. Number 3 is Two of Us. Number 2 is his 1967 hit, Penny Lane. And voted number 1, the best Paul McCartney song is, drum roll please.
Baby, I'm amazed at the way I really need you.
Maybe I'm Amazed. Happy birthday, Mr. McCarthy. Paul McCartney, we love you. All right. It's summertime. You want to go out and enjoy the water, right? You see the beach. You put on your little bathing suit. Wouldn't you like to know what sea creatures are actually swimming around you? Well, with the help of tagging technology, lifeguards in Southern California can be alerted when sharks may be coming a little too close for comfort. News Nation's Nancy Liu joins us. And Nancy, you had a chance to check out this technology that works something like an air tag for sharks.
It's pretty amazing technology, Nick. And all along the Southern California coast, the odds are always high that a great white shark is right offshore. We found out for ourselves in less than an hour as we headed out with the Shark Lab team of Cal State Long Beach.
Coming this way, coming this way. That's a big shark. That's a big shark.
It did not take long for us to spot several large sharks, including an 11-foot great white just 100 yards offshore near Santa Barbara. The Shark Lab team moves quickly to tag it, the latest to join more than 235 other sharks now tracked by researchers. The transmitters are mainly for scientific research, but they can also alert lifeguards of shark activity when picked up by beacons all along the Southern California coast. Conservation efforts have worked in replenishing the shark population, and with warmer weather, more people are venturing into the oceans. Two major factors which have increased the chances of accidental encounters. Research has already confirmed that sharks are not after us.
Humans clearly are not on the sharks menu. Because if we were, then all these populated beaches would be a Costco for sharks. It's their body temperatures are the same temperature as the water. So when the water's cold, their metabolisms are low. They move slower, they eat less. But as the water warms up, their metabolisms speed up, they eat more, and their metabolisms go up.
Now, Dr. Chris Lowe says wherever you are, it's always safer to venture into the ocean with a group in an area that is guarded and monitored for unusual or extraordinary shark activity. Now, he does not expect unprovoked attacks to top last year's international number of 69, and he notes that far more people are stung by stingray than are bitten by sharks. Nick?
And Nancy, those stingray stings really do hurt. Nancy Liu, thank you so much. On this date, the first American woman went to space. Plus, the Fast and the Furious franchise got its start. Today is June 18th. If you're thinking about booking that trip you've always been wanting to take, do it. It's National Wanna Get Away Day. The War of 1812 began on this day. Singer Paul McCartney was born. And Billy Martin became the New York Yankees manager again, replacing Bob Lemon. In 1983, Sally Ride became the first American woman in space. California Angels' Don Sutton became the 19th Major League Baseball pitcher to win 300 games.
Everything I do it for you.
And in 1991, Bryan Adams released the Billboard Song of the Year, Everything I Do It For You.
Let's go for a little ride.
And the very first, The Fast and the Furious film starring Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, and Michelle Rodriguez premiered in 2001. And so far, there have been 10 movies in the regular series. The 11th and rumored to be final Fast and the Furious is in the works now and is expected to be released in 2025. All right, grab your coffee. We have more news for all America right now.